What's up, y'all? It's your girl, El Rochelle, the Hardwood Diva, and we are here. NBA playoffs 2013-2014 season is getting started today, April 19th, y'all. I'm excited. It's been a crazy season. Seeing some of your top stars kind of down, not really doing as well. We're entering a new age in the NBA, and I'm really excited to see. It looks like we're getting more of that power from the West again. East, y'all know how I feel about the East, how I felt this entire season about the East, but I'm really excited for the playoffs. It looks like we're going to have some really, really good matchups, and I'm ready to get it started. So, first up, what we're going to do today, I'm not going to just go through a list of all the games. It's too many basketball games to do that. Like, we'd be doing this forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through each of the matchups for the East and the West and just let y'all know my predictions, who I think have the opportunity to go on and move on to the next level. So first up, we're going to go with the East. In the East, first up, we've got the number one team, Indiana Pacers, who kind of backed into that one because they were doing so well in the first half of the season and kind of tanked in the last 2 months. We weren't really excited to see them anymore, but they have been so far and away ahead of everyone, and Miami kind of tanked in the last couple months as well, so they still somehow ended up with the first seed, the top seed. So here we go. Number one, Indiana versus number 8, Atlanta. Atlanta has actually played fairly well versus the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers this year. However, I do believe Indiana towards the last week in the season seemed to start figuring it out. So I'm gonna go with the Pacers in 6. I know some people have the Pacers in 5. I still do think they need a gel period for the playoffs and kind of get to know where they want to be. Hibbert still needs to figure out what he's going to do and how he's going to fit into their system. However, I do believe that the Indiana Pacers can get 4 wins and only see maybe 2 out of the Atlanta Hawks. That's just how the Hawks are. They get to the playoffs and then they don't do nothing when they get there. So, no surprise here. Next up, we've got the number 2 seed Miami Heat versus the number 7 seed Charlotte. There's quite a few teams that most people are surprised to see in the playoffs, and Charlotte is definitely one of them for me. They actually played fairly well this season. Of course, that's kind of how they got into the playoffs. However, the East kind of sucks anyway, so, whatever. But I definitely don't think they have the opportunity to do anything versus the Heat. The Heat aren't great, and they're kind of... I personally see them at the end of this run unless they find someone to replace D. Wade. Hate to say it, but he's kind of on the end. Just that style of play, if you're not a big player like a LeBron, if you're jamming the lane, getting in there, a guard, you're going to get hurt. It's just what happens. You have to either get outside or you have to... just give up, let go, move on. And unfortunately, he's in the last legs. He's not going to be the star of the team that he sees himself as anymore. It's just not going to happen. But I've got Miami beating the Charlotte Bobcats in 5. I just feel like Charlotte can at least get 1 win. I don't really see anyone getting swept in this round of playoffs. That's just me so far. Somebody is going to prove me wrong. They usually do, but I don't see them doing it. Number 3, Toronto. What? The Raptors? They back? Yes, the Toronto Raptors versus the number 6 Nets. This is actually a very interesting matchup simply because the Nets have been on fire. On fire in this last half of the season. Things are starting to work out very well for Jason Kidd. We were blaming him early, but because they've done so well, we've got to also give him that same credit. We're starting to see those old heads they got on their team actually coming in too. This is the time that they're usually present and fully capable. So I'm waiting to see how this goes. I do have the Nets in 6 in this one because the Nets just right now are not a team anyone in the East really wants to see personally. So going with the Nets. The only reason they're in the 6th seed is because they did so horrible in the first half of the season that it took a lot for them to come back. So they are definitely one of the top 4 teams in the East. with actually how they're currently playing. So I'm going with the Nets in 6. Number 4, Bulls versus number 5, Washington Wizards. Yes. Yeah, you heard that right. The Washington Wizards. Yep, they're in the playoffs, y'all. Number 5 seed. So I'm going with the Bulls in 7. This is definitely going to be one to watch. The Bulls have still done very well without Derrick Rose most of this season again. It's a overachieving team. They are doing much better than I think anyone expected them to do without Rose. I'm excited to see them. I like them. I'm rooting for them. I'm just that underdog type of gal. I like to see those teams where they're just really trying. And they really trying. I don't think they're going to make it to the finals, but they really trying. And they're going to get out. They're going to get out. They're going to make it. They're going to make it to the next level. So, you go, Bulls. You go. All right. I'm excited. Here's the West, y'all. Now, this is where real basketball is being played. This is where you're going to see top to bottom skills, top to bottom crazy basketball. So first up in the West, we've got the number 1 seed San Antonio Spurs versus the number 8 seed Dallas Mavericks. I'm going with San Antonio in 5. San Antonio has still found a way to make Tim Duncan and Tony Parker the stars with a new set of role players. They've just reshuffled the deck, and now they're still number 1. They're still an amazing team. Not as exciting to watch. It's just how it is. They just aren't. And this won't be personally the most exciting of the Western Conference matchups, but it still will be entertaining, and it still will have good basketball being played, and that's what we want to see. Number 2, Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Unfortunately for the Grizzlies, they just lost a very good player in Nick Califith. Whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. 20-game suspension for a banned substance. It's going to go to appeal, but likely he will not be available to the Memphis Grizzlies, and that does hurt them. OKC, though, is on a tear right now. They've been one of the best teams in the league since the beginning of the season. Just reincorporated Russell Westbrook, and they're on fire again. That's just how it is. I'm going to go with OKC in 6. Memphis is a hard fighting team, so I don't see them just going out getting swept. I don't see them losing, or only winning 1 game. I definitely see them putting up a fight and getting a couple, but they're not going to be able to get away with this. Not with OKC. So I'm definitely seeing the Thunder moving on. Number 3, Clippers versus the number 6 Golden State Warriors. This, y'all, is going to be, I say, the most physical game. And this is actually surprising because you're expecting like these shooting, high offense teams not to be so, aggressive, but they don't like each other. Like, not at all. Like, they've been trading barbs since they figured out it was going to be each other they've been playing. Klay Thompson talking about Blake. JJ Redick talking about Klay. Mark Jackson talking about JJ Redick. It's just been a mess. And it's going to be fun. Problem is, Golden State lost Bogut, and they needed him because they needed that big body to go up in there against DeAndre Jordan and against Blake Griffin. Unfortunately, you just talked yourself into a hole, Klay, because you ain't got nobody that's going to really be able to beat Blake up in the middle. Because Jermaine O'Neal, love him. That's from my favorite era of the ball when I used to watch back in the 99 and the 2000s. But I'm sorry, he just ain't that guy no more. He's just not. He's not going to be able to do it. So you just talked yourself into a hole. And I'm definitely seeing the Clippers. I say the Clippers in 6. A lot of people are saying 5 because they're giving them no chance without Andrew Bogut. I'm saying 6 because I just feel like they can shoot their way into a victory or 2. At least 2. They ain't going to get 4. That's just not going to happen. So, going with the Clippers in 6. I'm excited because the Clippers, Blake Griffin, see, they talking about Blake, but what they don't know, Blake is on it. When Chris Paul went out this year, Blake had to step his game up and actually step up his game. Learn new ways to create offense. And he's doing that. So him right now, he not the one you want to like rile up. because he's not going to rile up and foul you and do crazy stuff. Even though he did get 16 technicals in the season, that's just a whole different thing. But he's not going to get riled up the same way. He's not going to fight or kind of, you know, push back. Sometimes he kind of get a little, you know, testy. He's not going to do that. What he's going to do now, though, is he's going to keep shooting his way, and he's going to keep scoring and assisting his way to victory. He doesn't care anymore about trying to get into these little physical battles with people. If you just, you know, he's learned he had to defend himself. He, you know, elbowed a few folks, got what he needed. Now it's time to be a basketball player and move on. He's moving on, y'all. I'm liking the progression I'm seeing from that young Blake. He is a star in the making. He's going to be a great. I like it. I'm liking what I'm seeing. All right, number 4, Houston versus number 5, Portland. Yeah, this one's going to be real interesting. This one is definitely going to 7. I think, unfortunately, for Portland, though, it's going to be Houston that wins, and it's going to be Dwight Howard that is the difference maker. It just is. Dwight Howard is playing very well in Houston. He needed kind of this quieter place. It's not all the spotlight. He's just not one of those guys that can play that well under the pressure. But it is what it is. So I'm going with Houston in 7. So there you have it, folks. For the East, I've got the Pacers, the Heat, the Nets, and the Bulls moving on. And in the West, I've got San Antonio, OKC, the Clippers, and Houston moving on. Pretty much the only low seed that I see winning is the Nets. Okay? I pretty much think that's to be expected. So there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. I holla. Deuces.